Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of It's a Sure Thing, the conscious community collective platform for highlighting and showcasing people, businesses in the community that are making a difference. We do this by connecting to our true self, by being our authentic self, and by uplifting each other and sharing our light. Hello, Ree, for joining us. Thanks for coming on board again. And please do invite your friends and family, let them know we're live. And come on, join us for tonight's episode of It's a Sure Thing. So tonight we are going, as we always are, we're going live on 50 channels of TV on demand through the Binge Network syndication, and we're going live on my Facebook pages and also our guest speaker Toni Everard's page, and we're going live on LinkedIn tonight. So it's really exciting to be doing that and getting our platform out there and our amazing people that we interview on this show. So tonight we are going to interview a lady who is very well known in South Australia. She has done amazing things in her life, totally changed her life around. She is a master coach, speaker, and educator, and she works with coaches, therapists, and well-being practitioners to level them up to be the best version of themselves and to earn the money that they deserve to be paid, to be the actual authority for their passion and what they're good at. So Toni Everard is an international certified trainer of NLP, timeline therapy, hypnosis, NLP coaching, and more recently, ultimate consciousness. Tonight, she's going to be sharing with us how you can master your mind. And I know it's a particularly interesting period of time in our history, so hopefully you'll find this really interesting. So I'd love to welcome the amazing Toni Everard from Everard Coaching. Hi, Toni, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Sue. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for taking the time, because you're in the middle of an 8-day huge training course right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm coaching at an international 18-day NLP trainers training. So there's close to 100 students from around the globe on this training, and it's an amazing experience. But some big days are happening. I'm spending 10 to 12 hours a day on Zoom at the moment.
Wow, 18 days. I do apologise. I thought you said 8. 18 days. That's even.
Wow.
I'm
up to day 8. Yeah, I'm up to day 8. So 10 to go.
Well, thank you so much for coming on board. And clearly you've got some amazing tools that you can share with us tonight to how people can master their mind and stop that monkey mind and focus on what's important to you. So what tips can you share with us tonight, Toni?
Yeah, absolutely, Sue. And you're so right. During these times, there's so much fear and anxiety and uncertainty and all of this sort of stuff that's around, and it's in the media, it's everywhere. And so now more than ever, it's so super important that we all become our own best coach. That's what I'm really passionate about. Is yes, I fully believe in people having coaches. I've got my own coaches and I coach other people. But it's also about being your own best coach in the day-to-day kind of running of your life, because things happen all the time, right? We've got this constant stuff going on in our mind, and it's really about learning how to use your mind for the best for you, and that's really super important. So I really look at the 3 minds essentially. So we have, your conscious mind, that's your logical thinking mind, that's making decisions, your waking mind, hopefully everyone's awake now. And really the role of our conscious mind is to be the guiding parental figure to our unconscious mind. So, our unconscious mind is where all our values are and our beliefs, and our, it controls our body and keeps us alive and does all those kinds of things at that unconscious level. But it's also where some of these sneaky things can kind of pop up. You know, these old limiting type beliefs and old emotional baggage that we've had stored in our body. And so really what we want to be able to do is use our conscious mind as the guardian of our thoughts, you know, as having that gatekeeper there, that when something comes up or when we, you know, notice some kind of feeling, because essentially our best way of knowing where our thoughts are by how we feel. So yes, often we become more aware of how we feel more so than our thoughts. So it's like, how am I feeling right now? And if that's not really positive, then okay, it's a good time for me to check in. Where are my thoughts? And what kind of thoughts am I letting run through my mind? Because, you know, your mind can go anywhere. And generally it has 90-something% of the thoughts you have are the same thoughts you had yesterday. So they just keep running on automatic.
96%. That's very interesting. Wow.
Yeah, it's very, very high, well in the 90s. And so unchecked, we just keep running these same old programs that just keep us stuck in the same old place. But this is what we've got, you know, we want to have our awareness about what are we doing, you know, and really bringing our consciousness into our awareness. And yeah, just start off by being guardian of those thoughts and checking them. Is what I'm thinking at the moment, is it really true? Is it really helpful? Is it what I want?
Yeah.
You know, I'm really checking in on that. And you know, that's a really good place to start.
Yeah, so with that conscious awareness, I think it's something that I've been doing for many years, and wasn't even aware that I was in the habit of saying certain things until I actually stopped and listened and looked and observed and just went, oh, that's interesting. I said can't 100 times today, or whatever the case may be. And when you actually just stop and you just take the time to observe that, then you can really just flick it away, what doesn't serve you, and just go into that questioning of self as well, and to do it from a place of kindness, because you want to up the ante for yourself. And most of the time the thoughts that you have are actually not your own thoughts, are they? They're somebody else's thoughts or opinions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're all subject to so much conditioning, whether that's societal conditioning or familial conditioning. And so, you know, as children, when we're born and, you know, up to about the age of 6 or 7, we don't have that critical thinking developed in those young years. And for good purpose, because it allows us to just absorb what's going on so that we can learn how to live, how to be a human in whatever situation that we're born into. We can absorb that really quickly. But of course, what that also means is that there's no real filter there for what are we absorbing. Is it stuff that's really good or helpful for us, or is it just stuff we're taking on board from other people who, you know, have got their own stuff as well? Yeah, and so, you know, and that's the thing. And then by that sort of age 6, 7, we develop the critical faculty and start, you know, becoming more aware of what we are focusing on and letting in and everything like that. But by that time, we've taken on a lot of other people's values and beliefs and, you know, all of that really forms our personality.
Absolutely. I'd just like to acknowledge a couple of people who have joined us. And Chris Pitcher has said, well done, Toni, from when we first started going live. And Adair Palmer has said, way to go,
Chris.
Toni, as well. Yeah, Chris.
Thanks, Adair.
Yeah, so
you know, Chris and I, we just seem to end up everywhere together. Chris and I do yoga together as well now.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah.
She's everywhere, and she's just turned. Oh, I'm not sure.
70? I'm sure she celebrated her 70th. Yes, there was great celebrations, and why not? Absolutely, she's amazing.
Yeah, she's a perfect example of the fact that you can always learn something, and age is not a factor. So, good on you, Chris. Thanks for joining us again.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
yeah, absolutely.
I'd just like to touch on hypnotherapy, because I feel that there is a bit of a stigma around hypnotherapy, and especially the stage shows where the hypnotist tries to get people to do things that they didn't realize they were doing because they were under hypnosis. But it's a really amazing way of just subtly releasing and letting go of that looping and those thoughts, and it just can change in one session. Can you talk a little bit more about hypnotherapy for us, please?
Yes, I would love to. I teach a 3-day hypnotherapy training, and it's one of my favorites to teach. And the people always rave about it, because the thing about hypnotherapy is that people often don't realize is that it goes back hundreds, if not thousands of years, to where the origins of hypnosis started. So even in ancient Greece and Egypt, they had these sleeping temples, where people would come from far around, and they would all come and gather in a room and lay down and get very relaxed. And there'd be a high priestess or priest that would, give them suggestions of health, and people would leave then these sleeping temples and heal and have improved health. So hypnosis has been something that, like I said, has been around for so long, and it's got a really interesting history throughout time, because it's always had this dance with the Western medical, I guess, kind of journey along the way. And in actual fact, South Australia was one of the last states to deregulate hypnosis, and that was in 2011. So up until 2011, you had to be a doctor or a psychologist or something like that to be able to use hypnosis. But the thing about hypnosis is that there's nothing magical about it. It's a very natural state that people go into every day. Yeah. If you've ever seen anyone watching the TV and they're just like, and you talk to them and they're not very responsive, they're in TV trance. Yeah. You're driving down the road. If you've ever been driving and you're like driving along, and then you suddenly go, did I go past? I don't remember, and you've been in this driving trance. Or a conversation, you can get in conversational trance with people where you get into this deep rapport and conversation, and everything else seems to kind of fade away, right? So it's a very natural state. And essentially, what hypnosis does is it slows down our brain waves. So generally we're in beta, we're in a nice awake state, and then brain waves slow down a little bit more into alpha, and then into theta, and then delta is very, very sleepy. But in hypnosis, we can slow down the brain waves, and what it does is it gives us the ability to bypass that critical faculty that I was talking about before, that develops around the age of 7, so that you can create change at the unconscious level, because we know all learning, behavior, and change happens at the unconscious level. Yeah. So if you can access that directly and give suggestions at that level, you make instant change, and it's very, very powerful. And of course, like you said, there's been stage shows and movies and things that haven't done hypnosis, a lot of positive kind of image.
Yeah, they get scared. They're like, oh, you could read my mind and you can brainwash me, and which actually you probably can if you get them into a really deep state. So you do have to be very careful with who you're selecting as a practitioner, don't you, as well, who you can trust?
Well, actually, yeah, there are a couple of myths around that, Sue, which is really interesting, because the thing with stage shows is it's a numbers game. So there's a certain percentage of people who will be highly suggestible, and that they will want to join in a stage show. So the people that get involved in stage shows are generally the people that would do similar kind of stuff after a few pints at the pub on a Saturday night, right?
Exactly.
They're usually extroverts. They like having fun, and they're there because the thing with hypnosis is that you can't brainwash someone with hypnosis. And in fact, there's reports out of the MK Ultra stuff that they were doing back in the 50s or whenever it was. Russia and China were doing some interesting things, and the reports out of that was that they found that they could not brainwash people through hypnosis alone, even after 8 hours of hypnosis. So you won't do anything under hypnosis that's against your own morals and values, essentially. So you can't rob a bank and say, oh, look, I was hypnotized.
Yeah.
Because you only rob a bank if it was okay for you to rob a bank anyway. So,
yeah.
and
you're
the fact
always
is,
in control, aren't you? You are always in control of your own mind. So you either allow the suggestion to come in or you don't. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? If you're in hypnosis and the hypnotherapist says something to you that's not aligned with your values or morals, it will actually bring you out a bit, because it'll be like, what, you know? So yeah, so it's very, very safe. It's very natural. You're in control. And you know, the key thing is that all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. Like, I can't make you close your eyes. I can't make you relax.
Yeah.
You know, I can't make you take on suggestions. I can just give you the process, but as the client, you're the person who has to do that. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
And same with healing. You know, if you're a practitioner, if the client comes and they are open and they are ready and they are willing, they're going to get a good result. If they're closed and they're blocked and they're not interested, well, it's your energy that you bring to the party, isn't it? So yeah,
most definitely.
And so leading on from that, thank you so much. If anybody's got any questions that's listening tonight and watching the show, please do ask in the comments section if you've got any questions for Toni as we continue. But I would like to move on to another part, NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. So is that the power of the words? And well, I'll let you explain.
Yeah, so neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, as it's most commonly referred to, is neuro is like the mind and the nervous system. Linguistics is definitely our language and our communication, both verbal and non-verbal. And then programming is just basically that we run strategies all the time. So, you know, to get our desired outcomes, we have strategies for everything, you know, love, relationships, brushing your teeth, you know, health, whatever it is that you do, there's strategies that you run for it. And so the interesting thing about NLP is that nothing in NLP comes from NLP. It's all been drawn from hypnosis. Actually, a lot of it's come from hypnosis and psychologies and all those different sort of sciences there. But the key thing about NLP is what it does is it turns things into a process. So, for example, you know, rapport was always used in hypnosis, and it was just seemed to be this magical state that the hypnotist would get in with a client, and the client would naturally, uncritically accept suggestions. But no one really knew what was the actual process. And so NLP turned it into a process, and they studied it, and it's like, well, it's actually a process of matching and mirroring, and, you know, when you match physiology and breathing and all these different things, you get into reports, this type of likeness. So, you know, that's just one example, but so there's a lot of things that come from hypnosis in NLP, because the founders of NLP, Richard Bandler and John Grinder, they were studying some people that were getting really good results. This is around the late 60s, early 70s. So they did a lot of study of Milton Erickson, who is a very famous hypnotherapist. He practiced hypnotherapy for about 60 years and found that he got really good results by being very ambiguous with his language. They modeled Virginia Satir, who is a very famous family therapist, and found she got really great results by getting really specific with questioning and getting into detail. They studied Fritz Perls, who was doing Gestalt therapy, and, you know, and of course there's anchoring and things that have come through from Ivan Pavlov and Andrew Salter and those kinds of things. So it's really looking at, okay, so whatever issue we've got going on with NLP, we can unpack how are you doing that issue? How are you doing that problem? And once we can unpack how you're doing it, we can find exactly the bits that we need to help you change or reframe or whatever that might be, and then create a new strategy or new way of being that gets you the results that you want to have. So it's a very, very useful tool.
Fantastic. And you work with a lot of clients all over the world, Toni. You're international rapport with people everywhere. So, and you could do Zoom calls with people, or you can do one-on-ones. And you've also got another amazing thing that you're doing, which is ultimate consciousness. And I know you've got a program training coming up in November for ultimate consciousness. And I know we've talked about a lot of things here. So just touch on the ultimate consciousness, and also the fact that anyone can contact you for a one-on-one session, or they can come to your training, and you can help them with their business and personal life. That's pretty much what you can help with?
Yeah, that's a pretty good cover of that, Sue. Absolutely. Look, I do one-on-one, but my main focus is really in teaching, because it's like that old kind of analogy, right? It's like give a man to fish and he will have dinner tonight or whatever, or teach him to fish and he can feed himself the rest of his life, kind of thing. And that's how I really feel about mindsets. Like, yes, I can do some one-on-one stuff, and I do a bit of one-on-one and get some really great results. But if I can get you in a room with me for a few days and teach you how to manage your own mind, it's totally transformational in all areas of your life. So if we get back to ultimate consciousness, though, the interesting thing about that, Sue, is where it comes into, like, I'm talking about the three minds. And it's, yes, being able to master our conscious mind and our unconscious mind is really powerful. But the thing that most people tend to, not pay so much attention to is their higher consciousness. And this is where we connect in with that knowing of the magnificence of who we truly are, that essence of who we are that's way beyond this life form of Toni or Sue or Chris or Adair or Ree or anyone else. And it's like, well, who are you truly? What is that energy that you are connected to? That's that soul energy. That's that, consciousness that's connected to all aspects of you throughout time, space, matter. And when we connect into that space, we can draw on all of these resources that we have available that essentially helps us transcend anything that we're struggling with in this lifetime. Because what often happens is, like I've shifted so much stuff over the time that I've been on my journey. And there was fear, there was limiting beliefs, there's all kinds of stuff. And I still continue to work on myself. But the thing that I find sometimes with people is that they get so hooked into, like, digging for the trauma. It's like, oh, if I just clear out another thing, and if I just clear out another thing, right, that I'll eventually clear everything out. But it's like going down a rabbit hole, right? Is the more you dig, the more you'll find. So there's a point in time that we just have to go, great, I've done a lot of work here and I've really cleaned this up and I'm using my mind well. Now I need to just transcend, and I need to raise my vibration and my frequency, my resonance, to be in a space that matches where all that good stuff is, where I feel the freedom and the joy and the, that expansiveness, because in that space, there's so much more available. I can be of such greater service. And when I'm at that higher vibrational space, I have a much more positive impact on the people around me.
Yeah.
And it can sound a little bit woo-woo, but the fact is this stuff is based on quantum physics. Mm-hmm. And it's really where we're bridging the gap between science and spirituality. And, especially in these times, we just need more people raising above and getting into that higher vibrational space.
Absolutely. And with the ultimate consciousness, I think the first training you did with a group of people included Christy Sapwell. Is that right?
Yes, it did. Yes.
So I was one of her guinea pigs, and she did an ultimate consciousness treatment on me. And something really shifted within a few days. It was a delightful experience, and she did an amazing job. So I have actually experienced it for myself, and can vouch for it as being really great. So, and fantastic that you keep upskilling yourself so that you can bring all these amazing tools to people in South Australia and worldwide. So so thank you so much for sharing all of that information with us, and thank you to everybody for listening. So how can we get in touch with you, Toni? You've got your website, is that correct?
Yeah, look, I always keep it really simple for people to find me, Sue. I'm pretty much Toni Everard everywhere. My website is tonieverard.com. I'm on Facebook as Toni Everard Coaching, LinkedIn, Toni Everard, and I'm sure you'll find the links to my website in the comments. But absolutely, if you want to have a chat about anything I've spoke about tonight, whether it's, one-on-ones or some training, some things you want to be able to help your own clients with, reach out for sure, and happy to have a chat.
Fantastic. And also sueshaw.com.au, because I've actually recently rebranded and done everything, and it's all Sue Shaw now because it's just much more easier. So on the sueshaw.com.au website is the Enlighten directory, which is an online global wellness directory, which you are part of that directory. So your events will be put up there shortly, but all your details are on there as well. So just in case you need somewhere else to go, that's where you're available to find information on there as well. So so thank you so much, Toni, for joining us in this very busy time for you. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Sue. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you, and happy to share this information. I really believe I want everyone to have access to this kind of work and working on their mind, just as they would going to the gym or going to the doctors or whatever, that it just becomes second nature to everyone. So thank you.
Absolutely. Raise the vibration as a collective, and let's take over the world with our light.